Good evening, everyone, and welcome to tonight's Boys from the Baltic Star. We've just been chatting randomly about the Oakland Athletics from the 80s and 90s. No idea why. Um, I sadly have missed that, but you're here for the role playing, and so we'll stop our wonderful conversation and get on to the boring part of the evening. Uh, but before we do that, thank you so much for joining us. If you've never been to the Baltic Star before, um, on a Friday, when we're all here, as you can see, there's three of us. That's the general Boys in the Baltic Star. When we're all here on a Friday, we play Traveller, and that's what we're doing tonight, which is our ongoing science fiction role-play game based in Mongoose Traveller Second Edition, which is a wonderful rule set, one that we love greatly, and one that we. I don't think we do it very well, but we do it. We do it in our own way. Ben wants us to do it properly, but Ewan and I ruin it by just eating brunch all the time. But I think we bring our own charm, and I hope that you watching see the charm to it and enjoy the time here. It's generally quite a relaxed and chill stream. It will run for 2.5 hours. There'll be a break in the middle, chance to charge your glasses, etc. There's a toast in the middle, which is very, very important. So make sure you've got a little bit of your tipple of choice, alcoholic or non-alcoholic, for them. If you want to chat, please feel free to chat. If any of the regulars come in, chat is friendly, and we will chat as well if we're sort of not busy at any time. Some things that are said often pass into the game, and so on and so forth. There's a red sun. You can click here to spend some points. Points of fun. Points mean prizes. Is it on? Yes, it is. Anything with the dark pink makes a little noise, like this one. There it is. So then that's one that we stand for you, and so you get these lovely pictures of you up there. Other things as well. Have a flick through, see what you like. The more expensive ones generally mess with the game somewhat. The cheaper ones don't. Clonk is a fun one. It makes someone have to hit or kick something or someone in the game when you say so. The other one that's quite fun is Stefan's Sneaky Masterclass, where he has to steal something, or Daddy Agnar mode, where if someone buys something, Daddy Agnar has to pay for it, which is great. Great for
Good put
me.
ideas in people's heads.
So there's loads of fun there. We keep one thing as one credit. If you like something that's going on, or you want to join in with a toast or such like, our drink to that is one credit, and it always will be one credit, whatever happens with inflation. However much more expensive my mortgage gets, that's still staying one credit for you guys, so that you can spend it whenever you want and get involved in the conversation. Because we want to be friendly and welcoming and chatty and interactive and all those sorts of things. It's just the way we are. You might not like it, I'm sorry, but this is the way we are. It's just our thing. Going on from that, let's introduce the three of us, the three boys, and then we'll get started after that. So my name is Luke. Hello, I'm in the bottom right-hand corner, and I'm little, which is very upsetting, because ironically, I might be am I taller than you, Ben? Am I the tallest in real life, but the smallest in the box?
I think you are taller. How tall are you?
6'1".
You're like half an inch taller than me. Not a lot, but
not a lot, not like that. Half, very important, half an inch.
yeah, I'm sure it is.
It's only because I always make sure I've got thick heels on. That's the only reason. But biggest in real life, but the smallest in the corner. So don't forget me, everyone. But I'm down here. We're going to jump 2 up now. So we're going to miss this guy in the middle, and we go straight through the jungle. It'd be amazing if my hand popped out the bottom then. That'd have been great. And right at the top is my brother from another mother, the housewife's favourite, the man with a wonderful moustache. It is, of course, Ewan. Good evening, Ewan. How are you?
Hey, Luke. I'm very good, thanks. I'm a little bit nervous about this week's game and where we left off last week, but that's Ben's fault, so I won't drag you down with it too much.
No, can you sort of contain all that fear and stress within yourselves and just leave me to be my usual happy-go-lucky self? I'd appreciate that. Take the weight of the world on your
That
shoulders.
seems a little bit unfair. It's a shared, we share the burden here.
Oh, you share the burden. So, who are you sharing this burden with, Ewan? Who do you play in this wonderful game?
I play Stefan Miller. I did have the little blurb that you'd put under my characters. I was just going to read that as it rolls through the screen. But he's generally a sneaky space rogue, occasional backflip when it doesn't throw up in his face, thanks to the lack of dice. And I
Nice.
also play Agnar Hansen, the Varga Wolfman, former general, military medic, and tactician.
That's it. And lover of new owner of a fine game, of course.
Azixer.
Yeah.
His new favourite military tactics based, hopefully. Something similar. Strategy game. Collectible strategy game. It's exciting. Thanks to Kara dropping 10 grand on a wooden board.
She's got so little money left now. We need to do a job so that she can get some money, unfortunately.
We do need to.
The days of freeloading our way around are done.
You might need to sell some fish, for example.
Yeah, but we bought them on Giikur. Yeah. We're back on Giikur.
Geek is not the right planet to do that one, though, I feel.
It really isn't.
It's like selling ice to Eskimos, was the old saying, wasn't it? Or like selling sand in the desert. Well, do what we can. Do what we need to do. Do everything on Geek tonight. Off we go, sell some fish. Perfect. Job's a good one.
But we do spend money a lot more than it comes in, I feel. Mostly on brunch.
It's because
sometimes on other things.
It's because we've got a million credits.
To pay now.
We got a million credits for selling an important medicine, so I think that's what helped. And we got a bit easy. We burned through it like a lottery winner, buying lots of cars.
Well, that's what TTRPG is for, isn't it?
Yeah.
Burning through your big paydays.
Exactly.
Frivolously.
Oh, good use of frivolously so early in the evening. I forgot to do my characters. I play Kara, who we were just talking about, who's now skint. Well, she's not quite skint. She's still quite rich by people's standards, but skint compared to the crew. She's an artist, carouser, trader, hacker. And I also play Soraya, who is a scout who spent many years lonely and alone. But it does mean she's a jack of all trades, so she can do a bit of everything. She's an engineer, a drinker from mimosas, and she's a bit grumpy with Stefan at the minute. He said something a bit rude to her last week. And,
I thought it was the other way around.
No, you were well rude to her. You basically said that she wasn't pretty or something, that she hadn't made an effort. And yeah, you'd like look at all these beautiful women around who've made an effort, and look at you in your scabby clothes, your scabby hair, and your nasty body. That's exactly what you said. That's exactly how she remembers it.
Me.
That's exactly. That's exactly Stefan. That is. But the man that's going to herd some cats, who's sat between us, keeping us apart like a referee in a boxing match. It is the smartest man in any room. It's why he's got centre stage tonight. He lives his entire life in the Twin Peaks dream sequence. And on every other night of the week that he's not here, and he's here on a Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Monday, so they'll probably look to replace you soon because you're basically part-time at this point. He sneaks into women's houses and leaves little chocolatey treats for them on their bedside cabinet.
And all because the lady loves milk tray.
He is the bearded wonder, Ben. Good evening, Ben. How are you?
I'm well, thank you. And enjoy the beard while you can, because it's disappearing on Friday.
It's the darkest day of any 6-week cycle.
Yes, it is the moment that fills people with dread for some reason. I don't know why, but it does.
Oh, Fids. Is it not? Oh, you see, that's it. You've got to be more careful with your chocolate treats, Ben. Fids, you left it. Your chocolate treat file is a bit messy. Good evening, Fiddy. How are you? A pleasure to have you with us as always. You doing well? You feeling good? I hope. Thank you for joining us. Good timing. Was it the threat of Fess that got you excited to come in tonight? I feel like you are one of Fess's big fans. Speaking of which, yes, Ewan. I was just killing time.
I was just going to say, people love to watch you and me squirm, Luke. That's what it is.
Not the truth.
That's why Fess is a hit.
Bloody Fess. I've got to shake my fist at him. Have I got Fess on? Is Fess? Have I Fess on? I can never see everything on this one. Hang on. Where's Fess? No, that's not Fess. Is Fess an option? Have I
No,
turned
it's
Fess
one
on?
of those.
Yeah, it's just a thing. There we go. I think I put Fess on as an option back in the day as well. Might go do that now while you do the important stuff, Ben. Why don't you do the important stuff while I just have a poke
Okay.
around?
So, our travellers have reacquainted themselves with the ocean world of Giikur. They've checked into their usual hotel, the Coronet, and purchased a classic Izixa game set, including a very expensive wooden board. Conscious of the fact they might be encountering the sinister Anton Fess at any moment, they began scanning for listening devices, running computer searches, showing his picture to the hotel desk manager, and, in general, acting like people who aren't remotely paranoid. Not remotely. It turns out Fess was hired by the VCI team as an oceanographer. The search also revealed that two of the teams were seemingly using the same craft for the race, something that was rather controversial. Still, on to more relaxed times. The party went to the Cascade, and Kat, being a regular there, got them in very easily. Inside, most of the group went to the downstairs bars, while Stefan and Zoe went upstairs to explore the terraces outside, somewhere they know the race will be televised. Outside, Stefan bumped into the Maglo team, and got a hint there might be more to the shared craft story than first appears. Around the side, under the waterfall, they found the VCI team, including Fess. As he noticed them, he broke into a broad smile and said, "Mr. Miller, what a pleasant surprise. Major Yatoe, my night is complete." And that is where we resume the story.
With Kara and Soraya inside in the club, I assume you mean.
Shut up.
Nowhere near Fess. I know Stefan will he'll raise his bottle of beer and say, Anton Mattis, Fess. Good fancy seeing you here.
Well, it's delightful to see you too. Are you here for the race?
We are indeed, yes. We're not big fans, but we happen to be on World, and we thought whilst here, why not catch up? We hear big things about you in the race, of course. Is it well? And he looks. Is he dressed in team colours? Or
He is, yeah, yeah. He's wearing sort of regular style clothing, but with a team jacket over it.
Looks him up and down and says, "VCI, we hear an expert in what was it?" Who looks over to Zoe. Was it waves and tides and all things related to the sea?
Oceanography, Zoe says. Apparently that's yet another string to your bow. And Fess thinks about it for a second and says, "Really, just part of the same string? I'm a geographer." And there's a brief pause, and then Zoe says, "I can think of a different word for you, but sure, let's go with geographer." And he gives her another broad smile. He says, "I've missed you."
Stefan steps in at attention and just says, "Well, yes, we can see your class. There's quite the asset to the team. So we hear odds are proving in favour, certainly. So we hear.
We're hoping for good things.
Have you and he'll sort of look around and take a step closer and get a little bit quieter in his voice, and he'll say, "Have you heard anything about a similar ship type to yours being run. We heard that is it DSS have a very similar machine.
He sort of looks a little bit startled, and he then oh, you're one of those, a purist. Ah, these craft are very expensive, you know. A team needs so many pieces to make it work. It was inevitable that eventually people would purchase in their craft from other companies. Only a matter of time. Why should you waste time developing a craft when you can spend that time studying the route, planning your tactics, building your team and the teamwork that it takes to win the race? That's really what sets it aside from the rivals, right?
Well, I mean, that's certainly where the, in my opinion, where the sport lies. Not in the vehicle itself. In a weird way, reduce costs is to buy in from a third party. I will be honest. I'm I have no experience in this field, but generally speaking, if I was to make something, it would be cheaper than buying it in.
Interesting. All right, let me give you an obvious example. These are very sophisticated craft. If you make them as a hobbyist, you still need incredibly high-end equipment, and that equipment is eye-wateringly expensive. But if you can contract another company to manufacture it using equipment they already have, because they might, for example, make aircraft or submersibles, they already need that kind of equipment, then while you're obviously paying for the setup cost, you don't have to pay for all of the setup cost just for a once annual race. It can come in a lot cheaper. And as for the design being shared, truthfully, teams have always bought in experts. They've always bought in people like myself, but also designers, physiotherapists, tacticians to run their race as they go.
Yes, yeah, of course. When you put it like that, it makes perfect sense to your average race viewer.
But not to you.
Ooh. Stefan scowls a little bit. I had a point. You just completely threw me. Fess.
Classic Fess.
Classic Fess. Well, that is interesting to know. Thank you. Yeah, very useful. Tell me, I understand. I understand what Von Cotswold Inc. gets out of this relationship and your expertise. But what's, if you don't mind me being so brash, what's it in it for you?
Oh, I'm a fan. What a joy to be asked to participate in a racing team. This is my second year, you know.
First off, Ben, do I believe that he is actually a fan?
You can roll a check if you like. Try a deception check for me with.
I'd rather not roll a check, but sure. Sorry, deception with
check.
With intellect, please.
Intellect. It's a 7 plus nothing is a 7.
Okay, you can't tell. Maybe he is, maybe he isn't.
Fair enough. And he'll say, yes. I. Who was it last year? Corton, wasn't it?
Ah, you're a fan.
Well, you know, word spreads pretty quickly. You're not the only person around here who knows more than they should or lets on.
I see.
Why the
You've been
change?
speaking
Then?
to our competitors, have you?
Well, I've just been making my way around the rooftop here, having some nice conversations with some of the teams. As you say, I'm a fan. Why the change of allegiance?
I don't have any particular allegiance to any specific team. I'm a fan of the event, of course.
Mm.
So when the opportunity arose to have a go with a different team, I thought, why not?
Oh, I can relate to that experience. Certainly. Well, it's been a pleasure, I must say. Hopefully we will see you around. I'm sure. How long are you here for? Does the team move on or?
These races, the team as a whole will stay here all year preparing for next year's race. It's a big deal when it happens. I sadly cannot remain with them for that long. I shall probably depart in a month or so on other business, but I hope to return this time next year for next year's race. Maybe with VCI again. You never know.
Hmm. Where does your business take you after this? I only ask because we're very much on the lookout for some. We have a hull full of fish. If I'm honest, we're looking for somewhere to sell it. Ideally, somewhere without any fish, the desert world, and a need for some.
I don't know where my work will take me next. As I say, I'm a geographer. There's always something new to look at. I will see what interests me.
Yeah, I suppose that's the thing about geography is it's all over this system, the universe. It's everywhere.
By definition, sure. Yes. Are you sure I can't interest you in a drink? Join us at the table.
On
Yes.
would it
We're
would it
not
be
doing
incredible?
secret strategy meetings, you understand?
No, certainly not. Certainly not on the rooftop bar. Would it be incredibly rude of me if I said perhaps later? I'm just catching up with a friend, but no doubt around throughout the evening.
Well, I'm delighted to hear that you have a friend. I'll see you around. And then he turns back towards Zoe and he says, Major, no doubt I'll be seeing you soon. And she ignores him, turns on her heel and storms off.
Raise his bottle of beer, take a swig and turn and pursue Zoe.
Okay. Zoe only makes it a few yards around the corner out of sight before she stops and leans back against the wall and waits for you to catch up. And as you approach, she says, well, that was interesting.
I hate that guy. You okay?
I'm fine. I always just feel I need to count all my fingers and toes after I've been near him, you know?
Yes. Yeah. Something like that. Do you want to... Stefan finishes off his bottle and puts it down on a nearby table. Do you want a drink? Should we grab something?
Yeah, let's. Here or downstairs?
I do love it up here, but I feel as though we should liaise with everyone else inside, perhaps away from that guy. Tell me, do you know his? He often refers to you as by rank. Do you know what his rank was? Is somewhere in between was and is?
Well,
no doubt.
I know what it was when I worked with him. He was a lieutenant when I first knew him. And then he moved from unit to unit, so he didn't get a promotion as much as more breadth of experience. But what rank he could be now, I have no idea.
Oh, that's fine. In fact, that works even better because I'm sure it will annoy him if I refer to him as lieutenant, and he has advanced since then. Thank. Come on, let's go. Let's go inside. Let's round everyone up.
Okay. And you head downstairs, leaving the pressure of evil Fess behind you for the time being, and head back down into the sort of foyer. Then obviously you can turn towards the main open space on the ground floor if you wish.
Yes, that makes sense. Basically just trying to get an eyeball on the first person from our party. I don't know when
the most visible, or at least the most obvious, will probably because where it is this party in corners and lean against wall. Cat surrounded by people she knows, and she'll be, out front and centre.
Stefan turns to Zoe. Come on, Cat. Let's. Sorry, come on, Zoe. Let's see if Cat knows where anyone is. An approach.
Okay. On seeing you, of course, Cat waves people off and wanders over. Where did you get to?
We're just checking out the old rooftop bar. Very nice.
Great up there, isn't it? The view over the lake, the waterfall coming down, ocean place.
Yeah, doesn't. Wait.
All right.
Where's
makes sense.
Where's our team? Do you know?
About. They all headed in here, and she sort of waves a sort of finger vaguely towards where Agnar is.
Can you do me a favour? Can you round them up while Zoe and I try and, get a table or a quiet corner somewhere? We'll get some drinks in.
Cool.
My round.
Okay. And she sets off at a sort of diagonal, completely in the opposite direction to Agnar.
Whoa.
Off towards the corner to try and gather up people. Now, obviously, I don't know exactly where everybody is, but am I assuming that everybody is, at least in principle, visible?
Yeah, of mine, Soraya would probably be sort of sat at a table in the corner, already about 3 bottles in, I guess, trying to cheer herself up with anyone that's willing to sit and drink as quickly as her with her. Kara's probably happy to be doing a bit of dancing already. It's nice to be back. It's nice to be back at the Cascade. It's been a good couple of weeks,
Yeah, I do know what you mean. I mean, the others will all cluster. I suspect you would have had in the sort of hard drinking stakes, people like Rick Verlo would have happily gone and sat with Soraya and thrown down a beer very rapidly. And I can imagine Sammy and Johnny would probably also have colonized that table with her.
Yeah.
The others will be scattered around the bar, loitering with Agnar and Kara.
Yeah, I think that sounds good. Um, Cara will be poking Agnar in the ribs a little with her elbow. Agnar, why don't you show these youngsters a dance from your days when you were young?
Well,
Come on, come
I
on.
mean, I could, but of course, neither generals nor retired generals dance.
What?
Certainly, well, not unless you
What?
care to maybe waltz.
I'm sure
I,
someone. I'm sure someone will waltz with you. You're not getting out of it that
perhaps, but
easily.
it doesn't quite like the right scene when you say.
I bet Colonica Debris. I bet she was a waltzer. I bet
I,
I bet she'd
you
have
know
whirled
what?
you around the room.
Mm,
You could
yes,
well be right.
but it's very different to your. I've seen you dancing away in your room late at night. None of this big fish, little fish, cardboard box. Which reminds me, we should get some cardboard boxes to put those fish in on the ship. The big ones and the little ones.
Oh yes, that's a very good idea actually. I can't believe that you were watching me dance. Like I dance like nobody's watching, and I can't dance like nobody's watching if I know that somebody's watching. And now I know that there's a chance that somebody's watching. I'm not going to be able to dance like there's nobody watching. So you've totally ruined my whole dance ethic. The ethos
Well,
is
you just have to
blown.
check, or find a more private place, I suppose. Or just ask me not to. Not gonna intrude.
Like to be honest, you've often been reading in bed when I've been dancing away when we've sort of shared those hotel rooms. But I just assume your eyes are so wizened and faded from your advanced age that you couldn't see that far.
So no, it's a funny thing about Vargas is that one eye can go this way to and concentrate on reading a book, and the other one can go that way and keep an eye on people dancing in the corner or things going on in your peripherals.
It's, it's, is that a thing that sort of evolved over time? Is it a swivelly eye to watch people dance?
Well, I'm
Is
not.
that part of
It might be Vargas. It might just be generals, to be honest.
Generals with the sleazy dance eye? Oh, I don't think I like this at all.
It's not restricted to dancing. It's more useful for other things, if I'm honest. But that's just an added bonus.
This is very upsetting, Agnar. I feel like I've learned a lot about you over the last day, and not all of
And
it
he
things
sips
that I
on
wanted
his
to.
glass of whiskey.
Oh. Ben, did you get the two NPC names, by the way?
Sorry, I didn't. Hold on a sec. Yes. Yes, I've got the second one. Let me scroll up a bit.
Right in the peripherals too, right. All right. Cara says, okay then. And she'll say, she'll sort of she'll drag Rose by the shoulder and plump him right in front of Agnar. Say, Rose, can you do some, I don't know, could you do some of your weird dancing for Agnar, please? I want to test a theory. And hopefully she's accepting it while Ben's reading NPC names. And this is right.
You don't have to if you don't want to, Rose. And it's not weird dancing. I've always quite liked your dancing.
What? Rose, did you even know that he was watching you dance?
No, I wasn't. God, stop spreading rumors. This is how vicious rumors start.
Or did you always assume he was looking in the other direction? His head was in the other direction, so you assumed.
I was just being polite.
Rose sort of takes her glass down briefly and says, "You're all very weird. You know that. Very weird people."
It's why you fit in so well, Rose. Look, just stand there and drink. I just want to check his peripherals.
All right, but can you do that when we get back to the hotel? I don't want that in public.
I mean, this feels like putting someone right in front of me and asking them to dance feels like the worst way to check my peripheral vision. I'm going to be honest.
While he's saying that, Cara's going to try and slip round the side of him.
Yeah.
And she'll sort of be on the left-hand side of him. sort of at the edge of his vision. So can you see me? Can you see me? Don't look away from Rose, Agnar. Can you see me?
Can I see her, Ben? You're more of an expert on Varga
What angle are you standing at compared to Agnar's staring straight at Rose? So how far degrees off Boresight are you?
If he is looking at 0, she would be at about 280 degrees.
Okay.
Strong man's tonight.
Then two things happen. First of all, no, Agnar can't see her there. And secondly, Rose sort of puts a hand up in the air and says, "Guys, some people are staring at me now."
As she says that, Cara will playfully jump up and slap at Agnar's cheek, if she can.
She can certainly do that unless he's going to try to evade it.
No, not at this point of the evening.
Yeah. And it's about this point that Cat bundles up and says, "Come on, everyone, this way," and does the old Cagney and Lacey 2-finger over the head like she's landing an aircraft, and directs you to the table where Soraya is holding court.
Pull up a chair if you're coming. But if you're coming, but drinking properly. Come on, all of you. Stop messing around. What are you standing there for? What's going on?
So as you arrive at the table, there are a fair few people around, but the tables are largely empty because it seems a lot of people have begun their evening migration towards the waterfall to see it do its trick. So at the bars there's plenty of table space. There's plenty of room for people to sit down if they want to.
Agnar will sit down and join the table.
Now, while Cat is gathering everyone up and people are staring at Rose, for weird non-plot related reasons, I'm sure, we left Stefan and Zoe alone for a moment. Did Stefan want to do anything in particular?
Stefan will go to the bar and get a round of drinks. He'll ask Zoe what she wants. And then he'll get... We're all out, aren't we? So 12 of those.
Okay. All right.
Can he also ask for like a bar napkin and borrow a pen off of one of the people if there is such a thing on Giikur?
There are such things, of course. This may be the far future, but people still spill drinks. So yes, there's no shortage of such things.
It's more the pen I was worried about, to be honest. The napkins I assumed were a given.
A pen would be relatively unusual to find in a place like this. Almost all things are handled using electronic communication.
Sure.
Carver reaches into her bum bag and pulls out like an eyebrow pencil and hands it over to him. Don't use it, it's my best one. Do you know how much this costs?
I don't know, like 30 grand.
Probably. I'm really bad at knowing the value of things, so that's probably what it costs. Don't use it all, and no, don't. I need it quite sharp still at the end, otherwise, by the end of tonight, I'm gonna look like I'm constantly confused.
Well, of course, you need it quite sharp at the end. You're not gonna have it quite sharp in the middle, are you?
Oh God!
It'll be a rubbish pencil.
Oh man, does Daddy Agnar include? Does he become Dad Joke Agnar as well?
About
Is that part of
this is
it?
Stefan.
Oh, it's Stefan. Oh, good.
Stefan,
Stefan.
yeah.
I thought higher of you, Stefan, to be honest.
I mean, I can understand you mistaking me for Ragnar with such a joke. Yeah, I get that.
It's the thicker hair on your chest recently.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Was it
And
nice
he
and warm
starts,
outside, was it?
He just says, "Zoe, what are you doing? Pass the drinks out. I brought a round for everyone. Drinks. And he'll just start writing down on the napkin. He's just going to write Fess. Fess is on the roof, and then pass it down and gesture to people to pass it around the table. Whoever's closest to him, I suppose. No.
Okay. You pass it around. Zoe, it sort of ignores it as it's past her. Of course, she knows pretty much what it's going to say. But the others look, and you get a mixture of reactions, because there are, for example, people who've never met him, and one or two have barely heard of him. But there are also people who, people like Sammy, for example, for whom the name carries a certain dread. And she looks really haunted when she sees it.
That was exactly why Kara wanted to make straight for her and put her hand on her shoulder. And as she does, she'll whisper to her, "Do you want to go back to the hotel, or you'll be okay?"
I'll be okay if we're all together.
Okay. We'll make sure there's always a good crowd around you.
Thanks.
Don't you worry about that.
He's on the roof.
Yeah, and
why,
he can't.
Why the roof? What's he doing on the roof?
I don't know. Hopefully, about to jump, but I doubt it. Maybe we can go and push him off.
You time it right, he could be frozen in ice halfway down the waterfall.
The gift that just keeps on giving.
Be pretty accurate timing, of course.
Yeah. There's only one man we know that's dexterous enough to do such a thing.
Unfortunately, he's not intelligent enough
to time that.
Yeah. Okay, so having everyone seen it and knowing what's going on, does anyone have anything to say about it other than making sure Sammy's okay?
Stefan, I'd just like to get the note back at the end, and he'll give the pencil back to Kara.
Okay.
And he'll just make sure that it's... In fact, he'll turn to someone behind him and say, "Hey, sorry, just grab hold of them. Could I have one of your cigarettes, please, and a light?"
I'll tell you what, roll a persuade with intellect, please.
They turn round and it's Fess.
That's the role we need for such a meaningful task. That's an 11
Yes,
plus
boy.
1 is a 12.
The person glances up,
Just give you the whole
shrugs,
pack.
and hands over a cigarette. Yeah.
Oh, perfect. And Stefan will light it, and then he'll light the piece of paper and pass it back, and he'll put it on the table in the hopes that it just burns to a cinder in an ashtray, presumably.
It will indeed burn. It is made of cheap, sort of fabricated poly paper. It doesn't burn quite like a true paper would. It produces a little bit of slightly unpleasant smoke, but it's fine. It's designed to be recyclable and destroyable.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, Stefan, this smoke is really unpleasant.
No, I'm sorry. And Stefan will take like a couple of puffs from the cigarette, and it'll just be like, "Oh, disgusting habit." And he'll stub the cigarette out in the ash of the napkin, so it's all jumble, so it's not just
Yeah.
one piece where you can see a faintly different coloured pencil line of his writing. He'll just mush it all around and try and stub everything out and just break up the ash into segments.
Now eat it, Stefan.
What?
Got to be safe. Got to be safe. Eat it. You can drink some beer after it.
I'm not eating it. But you try piecing that back together. If you can piece that back together, I'll eat it.
It's Fess, though. He can do anything with his mind.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, that's true.
So you have destroyed the evidence. As far as you're aware, nobody other than your own party saw it. And because you handed it around in that way, nobody is saying any names out loud, shall we say. They're all assuming you wanted to keep the conversation very much on the down low.
I mean, Stefan's mostly worried about himself because last session we did, of course, or Kara did, of course, check each room for bugs, and there were people in the rooms. So I'm assuming that unless anything has gone on that they haven't seen, most of us are okay.
As far as you know, you're not bugged, yes.
Yeah. But yeah, Stefan will be a little bit curious, and he'll be thinking back in his mind actually as all this happens. Did we shake hands? Did I touch him? Was there any? Just out of a matter of paranoia,
the closest there was a moment where you stepped close enough to him to lower your voice and speak with him. But you were still 18 inches away. Not let's put it this way, it would have been a remarkable feat of dexterity or some talent for him to bug you in some way, not only while you were standing that far away without physical contact, but also while Zoe was watching.
Yes, yeah. I mean, I assume you, as the wonderful referee that you are, Ben, would have told me if there was any contact, but it was more just a that'll be what's going on in Stefan's head, kind of.
Yeah.
Paranoia about Fess type moment. Yes, thanks.
Yeah, no problem.
Sarai will sort of lean into Johnny, I guess, quite quiet. I'm sure there's a hubbub in that, but she's sort of going to shuffle in a bit quieter. She said, "Johnny, you armed tonight?"
Johnny looks a little bit flustered and says, "I'm not, actually."
Right now, this is where I look at realistically what my characters have got at that point. If I'm going to be very honest with myself, I have 2 pistols. I've got the nice pistol, haven't I? I can't remember what the nice pistol is. My notes are in another book. I've got a standard Gauss pistol, and I've got one of the fancy ones, the ship pistols. But I can't find a stat for that now. So that will be all she has. Realistically, because she wouldn't be carrying carbines and rifles around on a night out. But they tend to carry their sort of hand. So it's an open carry place, isn't it, Giikur?
Yeah.
For
It's pretty relaxed.
Yeah. So sort of under the table, she'll slide out her standard Gauss pistol and tap it against Johnny's leg and say, "Are you okay with these?"
Yeah.
You feel better with it now?
Yeah, thanks.
Okay. Cool. Just don't lose it. They're expensive.
Gotcha. It is by convention the case that Zoe always goes armed somehow. She isn't carrying her carbine, but she'll have a weapon on her, usually 2.
I've got the weapons.
Sorry, she often carries a blade as well as a firearm. The Rick Verlo usually doesn't go armed. In fact, most of your party don't normally go armed unless you encourage them to.
Yes, exactly. See, I've got Lara's fancy pistol, but I can't remember what that was. Was that laser or was that Gauss, or was that like
That was laser pistol.
that was laser pistol?
I think I'm right in saying.
Cool. So I can use both. So I was just thinking she's
It may
definitely.
surprise you to. Sorry, go on.
I was gonna say because she's not carrying flechette pistols around in a nightclub. Couldn't think of anything
Yeah.
worse.
I was just going to say Agnar has neither his shotgun nor his laser carbine, and probably not his combat armor on in the nightclub. Realistically,
Yeah, I think that's it. We're very much unarmored as it stands. I think pretty much all of us.
however, Stefan
Yeah, good old cynical Stefan. Suspicious
is
to a
both
fault.
paranoid and has some smaller arms which totally work, such as the laser pistol in his hand, and the knuckle blasters and the gravity knife.
I thought you meant smaller arms, like he's got little
Smaller
Tyrannosaurus arms. He's got little
yeah.
Tyrannosaurus arms. With a pickpocketing.
Yeah, I'm sorry,
He's
I've
got
just looked it
small
up.
arms.
It's not a laser pistol, it's a flechette pistol.
It's a flechette. Oh, that's what she's got. So better be careful. Okay.
Good to know, though.
It's good to know. Cool. I've just lost my notes. They've just fallen down. Cool. Kara will have her standard laser pistol. She'll have her stun fist on, as is her wont. It's the way she sort of strapped it up and sort of graffitied over it to try and make it look as obvious as possible. She won't have her nice gauntlet laser because she has to have a backpack and everything on for that, doesn't she? Which would ruin the line of what she's wearing this evening. But she does have her stunner, and at this point she will offer it to Sammy Cress, who's obviously looking a bit stressed about it. She's like, Sammy, I've got this. Would you feel comfortable, a bit more safe with this? You know, just sort of a last resort.
Thank you. Hope it doesn't come to that.
No, I hope not too. I'm sure it won't, but you know what I mean? It also helps if some jerk gets a bit leery later on, you know, after a few drinks on the dance floor. A quick zap in the ribs. And, you know, I've used this sort of thing many times back home. They certainly don't come back for seconds, that's for sure.
All right. So as you sort of glance at your watches, you realise that the trick with the waterfall is about to happen. Are you happy to stay in your tables? You have, after all, seen it before.
Kara will turn to Stefan and says, "Oh, I fancy going and seeing it one more time. You join me."
Stefan sort of looks a bit surprised at the question, but then yeah, of course.
Okay.
Anyway, does anyone else want to see, or just you and me?
There's probably a few that haven't seen it if they want to.
Kat immediately says, if you haven't seen it, you have to see it, and you have to bring your drink because you have to put some ice in it. Even if your drink doesn't need ice, it's tradition. You put the ice in the drink.
No, you put the lime in the coconut. Kat.
But the ice in the you scrape the ice into the drink with the edge of the glass. I'll show you. You go down there. We'll go down there first, and then we'll put the ice in the drink. I'm feeling quite dizzy. We'll put the ice in the drink. You'll see.
Wow, Kat,
and she
you're on it, man.
sets off.
You've been looking forward to a night out.
And says, I think she could do with a lot more ice in her drink.
Yeah, I think so.
Come on,
Oh, goodness.
let's look after her.
Yeah. Come on, Kat. Who decides to come along, Ben? Are we looking at a big posse or just a few?
I think it'll be basically everyone. Yeah, if you guys are all going, everyone will go with you. Sammy's going to stay with the large group of people no matter what.
Yep.
And people like Rose and Kat obviously are astute enough to realise that Sammy can use some friends around her.
Yeah.
Zoe isn't leaving the big group tonight. From this point on, she's protecting whoever she's with.
Exactly. Rick hasn't been. I'd imagine he'd quite like to see it.
Yeah, I'm sure he would. And
Oh,
and
what's her name?
I mean,
Freya. Freya's not seen it.
Freya probably. I mean, she might have done, but as far as you know, she's never
Possibly
seen
no,
it.
yeah.
Mm.
To everything.
Agnar will definitely stick with
Johnny.
Sammy at this point. That's about right. Plus, you know, that is literally everybody else. He's not going to stand there by himself.
Oh, so everyone's going then. There we go.
Yeah. Okay. So mob-handed, you head down there. If you remember, when you get to the edge there, you look out onto um, the lake water itself. The end of the bar just ends as sort of cave mouth looking out onto the lake, which is fairly calm and still this evening. There's not much wind. Just a little very, very gentle chop. It looks more like a large swimming pool than a large lake. And between you and a large part of that view, right down the middle of it, falls this thin waterfall. It's a significant portion of the width, but thin front to back, artificially created in order to be exactly those dimensions. There is a sort of point where what amounts to a beach heads down into the water, and at that point there's a sort of fairly substantial walkway with a couple of pontoon areas that step out onto the water and then form a cross piece this side of the waterfall. As it goes across the width of that water, it then turns out and passes each side of the waterfall, so the waterfall falls not on it but beside it. And then, as you know from your past experience, having come in the other side, that then reconnects the other side, and beyond that, the pontoons continue to allow mooring places for boats and things of that nature. As the water is falling, you start to feel that sense of the lights all coming down, and they all dim quite rapidly, um, and people wait expectantly for the moment until eventually the waterfall is pretty much lit only by a couple of um, spotlights from just above your heads, effectively pointed out onto the water. Um, because it's flowing water, of course, the spotlights are able to pick it out quite beautifully and shinily. But that's pretty much the only light now at this end of the bar. There is no other source of light other than the reflected light from the waterfall. And at exactly the moment that everyone's been watching and waiting for, suddenly, as if in just the tiniest fraction of a second, the entire waterfall freezes solid, top to bottom, um, even to the extent that there are parts of the waterfall where it hits the lake, which are sort of caught mid splash. Those melt very quickly. It's only the solid piece of the waterfall that retains its solid state. And immediately, Cat staggers out with her glass and scrapes a little sort of run of this soft aerated ice off the inside of the waterfall. Says, everybody come here. And even as she's doing that, more lights start to play on the waterfall, and for a few moments the colored lights that play on the waterfall illuminate this end of the bar until 30 seconds maybe later, the lights slowly start to come back up. And as they do, you one by one start to notice that standing perhaps 10 feet behind you as a group, looking admiringly at the waterfall, is Anton Fess.
Cara will turn to Stefan, who she dragged with her, and she says, "You come with me while I talk to Fess."
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, good, thank you. As she sort of playfully, jokingly pretends to sort of shove one of maybe like Freya, sort of playfully sort of whoa, as if to push her into the ice, a little bit, but like trying to leave on sort of a good vibe, and then
Into the ice, not the soft water.
so she goes tumbling out. Can Freya swim, by the way? And then sort of says, "I'm just going to get a drink, Stefan." And
Yeah.
then heads up and until she's sort of not looking at Fess until she's almost alongside him, and then
Okay.
she'll say, "Do you have a moment?"
Yeah, you just asked me if I'll come with you.
Not
Oh,
you.
sorry. Yeah, of course.
Oh,
My mistake.
should have bought Agna.
Fess glances across. It's Laska. Yes. Always have a moment.
Okay. Stefan said you had a rather nice seat up top. Do you think it'll still be there if we head back up there?
I suspect my team will defend it with their very lives.
Does it have room for two more little bums?
But of course. Would you like to join?
I'd absolutely love to join. Please lead on.
Stefan says, "See, I told you. I told you we'd be around."
I must confess, I am interested to see how the waterfall looks up there.
Cara hasn't seen it, of course. So it's like, goodness knows how they do it up there. Must be all sorts of kinds of magic or something. I don't know. Some deep juju. There's no other explanation.
It's a clever trick, but I don't think it's magic.
Yes, I guess there is an explanation to every trick, isn't there?
There absolutely is. Though sometimes, in my experience, people don't want to hear it.
Well, that is true. When you know how the magic trick is done, it loses its luster.
I hear that. I've always found it much the other way. I'm much more interested in something when I can explain it.
Well, let's go chat and explain some things.
Stefan will say, "I'll get the drinks in. I'll meet you up there." Cara, what are you having?
I'll have whatever he's having.
Mattis.
Please call me Anton. I think I left my drink up there. I'll return to it.
Just a beer then.
Well, if you're sure, don't say I didn't offer later.
I promise I won't hold it against you.
The drink.
Not even if you beg. And so, if I get this right, that means Cara and Fess are walking off together unaccompanied.
Yeah, thanks, Stefan.
Stefan will go with them, and he'll break off when there's an upstairs bar, isn't there?
Yep.
He'll break off at the upstairs bar. He wouldn't have mentioned it before on purpose,
Okay.
but he will do that.
All right.
Not sneakily. He'll just walk with them.
Yeah. All right. Now, as soon as you guys are out of shot, before we do what happens upstairs, we need to cover what happens downstairs, because as Zoe sees the two of you walking off, she is going to turn to Sammy and say, "I think it's time you called it a night." And she's going to suggest to anyone who feels it might be the right moment that they take Sammy back to the coronet. because she doesn't want to go in case she's needed here. So if any of the people who are staying downstairs want to join as the party sort of gather up a slightly drunk cat and and make sure that Rose and Sammy are okay, or you want to say, actually, that's not a good idea, they should stay here, now is the time.
Sorry, Ben, who instigated this idea?
Zoe suggested it.
Oh.
She doesn't think it's a good idea for Sammy to be here, and she'd like her to have a gaggle of friends when she heads back to the hotel, basically.
Agnar certainly approves of the decision. Whilst he'll say, whilst those two are off doing whatever they're doing, seems like a good opportunity.
Sarai will sort of nod to him. Yeah, I don't feel I can leave. In all honesty, you never know what's going to go down, but I don't think it's a bad thing. A big group going back. I don't know. Johnny.
Well, it's hold on. Sorry, just quickly. Do we know where Stefan and Cara have gone or not?
You've seen them leave with Fess, but you don't know where they're going.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. He'll say, well, to be honest, I don't think much harm will come of them whilst the other two are with our friend.
Well, if Zoe's taken aback, and was that the plan? Was that the vibe we were getting, that Zoe was going to take them, or just was shuffling them off?
What Zoe is suggesting is that she stays in the Cascade.
Yeah.
With anyone who thinks it's important for them to stay, but a substantial group of people go with Sammy back to the hotel.
Yeah, I got you.
To make sure she's not unescorted. But the people she's suggesting should go with Sammy would be, Rose and Rick and Johnny and, and Freya, those kind of people.
Gerg. We've got Gerg at the minute, haven't we? Yeah.
Yeah. So she's suggesting basically that those guys call it a night, head back to the hotel, start drinking in the room rather than at the bar, while she sticks around to make sure that Stefan and Cara are okay.
Yep, got you. Sarai will turn to Johnny and say, Johnny, do you want to go back with your sister, or do you want to stay here? Don't know how things are going to go. Could be boring, could get interesting. What are you thinking, man?
We think the risk is here, right?
Yeah. We think.
I'll stay.
Okay.
Do you want to? Do you guys? If you guys end up going back to your room, somebody take Rose, because she's in Cara's room. I'd rather nobody was left by themselves. No single person in the room. At least two people.
Put her in with Sammy.
I don't think we're planning to go to bed yet. We'll probably just pick one of the rooms and all sit around chatting.
Okay. Yeah.
Good plan.
But I've got to say these things, otherwise I'll worry. How can I all say?
It's a kind thought.
Sarai will sort of
Sammy
manage.
is looking really quite worried and dejected. So, so the gaggle, apart from if Agnar is staying, and we know Soraya is, so it'll be Agnar, Soraya, Johnny, and Zoe stay.
Yep.
Everybody else will head off.
Yeah. As they head, Sarai will sort of give Sammy sort of a comforting squeeze, sort of a side squeeze, and says, "Look, if any of you get hungry, just talk to Tim when you get there, and put it on Agnar's bill. I'm sure he won't mind that." Archery, enjoy it. It's been a lovely evening. You got to see the stuff.
What did you say about my will?
Your will. We're just saying
None of your business.
Just saying that you're getting so old. You really should rewrite your will.
Not only that, but his going as well.
Is that canon as well? No, because Ben will remember it.
I have the memory of, a slightly dead goldfish.
That's for the best.
Okay. So with that happening, Zoe walks the group out to the lobby and sees them off. Because they're doing it so relatively quickly, but taking their time. By the time she's done that, there's no sign of the three who set off upstairs. But she's going to make an assumption that that's where they're going, just in case. And so she'll stay close to the stairs downstairs until someone makes a decision.
Cool.
Is everyone else going to loiter around the lobby, or do you want to head upstairs, or what?
It's hard to know. Stefan will turn to Agner and she'll say, a general like you with immense tactical and great knowledge of situations.
I'm flattered.
Well, you should be. You should be. I'm bigging you up right now. As my favourite of all the men in our inner circle right now. Where if you knew there was a big powwow going down potentially, would you want to be? Where would you want to be? Close enough within earshot, within like a 30 seconds running around a corner shot, far away, to not get spotted or anything. What would you do? 'Cause that's where I want to be.
He'll hold up a finger and he'll turn to Zoe and say, Zoe, what's the lay of the land up there? One big open space, or
You remember the hot tubs on the seamstress?
very well.
Well, think like that. It's like terraces with little paths going between them, sideways and up and down. You come out about halfway up on the north-facing side of the building, which is where most of them are, overlooking the sort of ocean. If you head to the left, you eventually go round a corner, and there's the same basic arrangement, but not as many terraces because they've got to accommodate the drop of the waterfall. So there's only just a couple of places there, and and a few tables and areas to drink around the waterfall. Those fill up pretty quickly, and earlier, what was there was the VCI team.
So we could get eyes on them without them necessarily reciprocating.
I mean,
potentially.
Eyes might be difficult, but ears would definitely be possible. If you went right up to the top where the waterfall is produced, you could probably lean over the ledge up there. Their table would be underneath the waterfall, but not very far below you.
Come on then. He'll turn to Sarah. Let's go.
Okay.
And he'll look back at Zoe. Are you joining, or Johnny?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. For one thing, I may end up tobogganing down it. I'm genuinely curious. Yes, she'll absolutely join, and so will Johnny. So as the group of you set off up, we need to turn our attention to what happens as Fess, Cara, and Stefan set off up in company and head out onto that north-facing side, and Stefan immediately turns towards the bar. And as he does so, we'll take our break.
Of course we will.
Oh, so many choices. So much Fess. Too much Fess. Actually.
Too much Fess. Too overwhelming for you.
Can we make that a t-shirt, Luke? Too much Fess.
Too much Fess. Add it to the list. Add it to the print list. Right, we're going to go 5 minutes. We're going to de-Fess ourselves. We're going to work on our anti-Fess chakras, or whatever on earth is going on. and then except Ben, who's just going to make himself more Fess. And then
And we will come back with the toast.
we'll come back with the
Mm.
toast. Exactly. Right. Don't go anywhere, guys. We'll see you all in 5. Let me find the bit we need, which I think is that. Hang on, we need that bit, not that bit. Though. Right, that was the music. See you all in 5. Ben.
And welcome back. So it falls to me to raise a glass, or in this case, a Boys from the Baltic style mug, to the memory of our late lamented steward, barman, and friend, Greyhill Bast. And I always think back on the stories he told about his early life, and I think many of them are perhaps a little bit exaggerated, but there are some that I think are probably very, very accurately presented. And there's one that I recall, since we've just talked about the way the Cascades waterfall turns into a solid piece of ice, that might be appropriate at this juncture. So Bass told me that on one occasion he was out on an ice planet, something I suppose a little bit similar to a water world, but much colder. And a friend of his was stuck out on the ice and hadn't made it back as night was closing in. And at night on this world, apparently the temperature drops to a horrendously low number. So he went out looking for him, and he was unable to find him. And as night fell, he too found he didn't have time to get back. But he found in this impossibly cold environment a large hairy animal, which he cut open and climbed inside it to stay warm in its entrails. Now, astonishingly, this tale, which may not be entirely accurate in its rendition. I'm not entirely sure of all the details. I cannot for the life of me recall the world, for example, the name of it that he said. Nonetheless, he did say something that alarmed me a little bit, which wasn't that he spent the night wrapped in the entrails of a recently dead animal to stave off the cold. I thought that was quite rational in a manner of speaking. The thing that alarmed me a little bit is that he said that the smell inspired him in the creation of one of his signature cocktails. And I was desperately trying to remember if he'd ever served me one and what exactly that smell must have been like. But he did say, to my relief, that the smell that he was referring to was the smell that he experienced when he first encountered the animal on the outside, not the one from the entrails themselves. Anyway, with such happy memories, we should raise a glass and toast the late, great Greyhill Bast.
Late,
Greyhill
great Greyhill Bast. Long may his memory live on.
Indeed.
Even if his entrails are just in a goo splattered all over the Imperium somewhere.
Well, yes. I mean, his own entrails are not necessarily completely intact anymore, because you did ruin him in many, many ways. But
I'm not taking a part of that.
I feel as though Carl would be the one to philosophize as to whether they're actually his own entrails anymore, given the state
it's a fair
of his,
point, actually.
his
Yeah.
demise. To whom do they belong?
Yeah, they might not technically be his.
They belong to all of us now. I like to think there's a little bit of Greyhill in each of us. And there probably
That'll
is.
be the cocktail.
Yeah, exactly. We're all a little Greyhill.
Excellent. So, where we left off, the rest of the party had sort of made their plans, and we are following Fess, Stefan, and Kara as they walk outside onto this north-facing terrace on the side of the cascade, and Stefan has spotted the bar. So, are you going through with your plan to get a few drinks?
Yeah, step on a break off. Sorry, Carl. What did you want again?
Just a beer would be fine for now, thank you. I'm a simple woman with simple pleasures. Um, as Stefan heads off, she'll sort of making sure that she's not rubbing shoulders or anything with Fess, of course.
Mhm.
She'll sort of manage a smile and she'll say, "Have you spoken to the Commodore lately? How is the dear old man doing?"
I haven't seen him in quite a while.
Ah, that's a shame. I'm sure he'll be delighted to see you again. You seem to get on with you very well.
We have common interests.
Absolutely. Have you um have you been to Dillabrew at all over the last few years?
Dillabrew. Oh, it's been a while since I've been to Dillabrew, I think.
Well, you should go back sometime. I'm sure you're aware that we were off planet for a little while. We headed over there and we started a business. Doing safaris, going to see going out into the desert, seeing the Moabs, the sand crates, and that. If you go, tell them Cara sent you, and I'll make sure you can get mates rates on on a um on a safari. You know, it's the least I can do. Even take any
I
guests with you.
see. A business. So you're planning to
Oh,
stay local then?
um, we've got we like to think we've got our fingers in many pies, of course. We just like to spread and leave happiness wherever we go. We just like to leave people in a better situation than when we found them.
Well, I don't think anyone could imagine that was an unworthy goal.
It's not. It's not. By the way, you're not going to try and bug me again tonight, are you? Are you, Anton? You don't mind if I call you Anton, do you?
I insist upon it.
You're not going to bug me again this time, are you? That's a very cheeky trick last time.
I cannot imagine to what you are referring.
Well, you know. It was found in the end, but no doubt a bit too late. We're a bit slow on the uptake. We can be sometimes. I'm sure you've noticed that. A few drinks too many, and we don't stay as on it as certain people in my presence, of course.
I've never noticed that.
You're too kind. You're too kind. You always know the right thing to say, Anton. You always know the right thing to say.
Yes, that doesn't sound like a flattering remark to me.
Well, sometimes it's a good thing if you're trying to close the deal in a big deal for fish or something like that. As a sort of a wannabe trader myself, it's important to know the right thing to say. So take it as a compliment.
I will try my hardest.
Good. I see you're in the team colours for VCI. I hope you get. I'm guessing that's going to get a bit more stressful as the days go on over the next few days while the race is happening.
It's going to be a busy time. I don't think there's any doubt about that. We're still deciding whether I will have the opportunity to be on board the craft as it travels. The decision is a tough one, as you can imagine. You need a mixture of skills, people who are brilliant pilots, people who are good engineers, and some of the talents don't have to be aboard, but others, it's better if they are. There are those who are suggesting maybe I should be on board so I can look at the wind and the waves and make decisions right then and there rather than rely on second-hand reports. I didn't get to do that last time. I think this time it might be more fun.
I'm sure it would be being right there on the scene of things. It might be able to make the difference if there's sort of a sudden change you need to make that might take too long if you were sat in a booth somewhere or following in another vehicle.
No matter how good your sensors, there is no substitute for feeling the wind on your face, feeling the movement of the craft beneath you, and knowing from that intuitively whether it's right to turn a little left, a little right.
Is it? I don't know much about sport. Is it dangerous? Do they Do they crash and people die very often? I just
Do they
worry about
crash often?
I just worry about your safety, really. I don't want you to like end up in a big explosion somewhere just because of the search for excitement and success.
The craft don't often crash. We find once usually does the trick.
Yeah, you know what I mean. I hope it's not too dangerous a sport if they're going to have um, non-pilots on board. I know they need a crew. That's all I know about them, but it's still a risky
The
business.
the most dangerous parts of it are manageable risks. It depends how bold you are as a crew, I think. Some crews cut the course very fine, others, not so much. Last year, one team tried to cut it very short indeed, but then didn't quite have the guts to press on as hard as they should have, and
Mm.
didn't come away with the win. Another cut it even shorter, and that, of course, ended in tragedy. So risks are what you make of them, I suppose.
I suppose there's parts on any planet that I'm guessing there's sort of out of bounds areas, places you can't go, things that sort of add a little wrinkle to the sort of the wayfinding and such like.
I'm only aware of one out of bounds place, though it's not out of bounds for the race. The reality is, though, the whole race, you're constantly choosing the fastest route from waypoint to waypoint, and the organizers set up those waypoints so they are directly between islands, for example, or shoals. As a consequence, you have to plot a course that is as short as you're willing to risk and travel it as fast as you're willing to risk. It's a tactical game, but one which takes some courage.
It does great courage and great skill, I'd imagine. Is everyone on the craft there for a reason, or is there a requirement to have a certain number of ballast, I guess?
For reasons of the safety procedures, if something goes wrong, there is an absolute minimum requirement of 6. And every craft, therefore, carries exactly 6. You wouldn't carry an extra person if you didn't need them.
Of course.
In practical terms, only 2 of them are critical to the minute by minute running of the craft in the race. But of course, the actual race takes 30 hours or so. So your pilot usually takes the opportunity to sleep when you're in the areas of big open ocean between the dangerous parts,
Hmm.
and then is woken for the next critical part. Most craft will take 2 pilots of quality, a couple of people with medical or engineering skills, and a couple of experts who can also handle themselves in case something goes wrong. Ultimately, I believe the only requirement for a crew member is that they can swim.
But yeah, I guess that makes sense. Although I'm guessing at that speed, you're going to pop out of there and splash into the water pretty quickly, and around surface level on Giikur, it's pretty dense, isn't it? If I remember correctly.
It's extremely dense. The craft travel extremely quickly, well in excess of the speed of sound at their maximum, more than 1,000 kilometers per hour, which at this pressure, yes, definitely is a very substantial speed. However, there are portions of the course where you run a little slower, and
I was about to ask that. What's the
sometimes.
sort of the slowest they can get down to? It sounds like such a range.
Have you not seen the craft in action?
I never have. It must be said. I'm not. It's not one of my hobbies watching Pellegrini. That's why I'm so excited about being here this week. That's why I'm asking so many questions, to be honest.
There are some very simple rules that specify how the craft work. Broadly speaking, in order to qualify as a Pelago craft, the most basic and fundamental rule, beyond some technical things about the overall length and overall width and rules of that nature, is that under all circumstances, the craft must remain in contact with the water.
Okay.
That is ultimately the only decisive rule that really matters. If a craft leaves the surface of the water, it is immediately disqualified. As a consequence of that, people have tried all sorts of things. Some people built craft that do the entire trip beneath the waves. Others, ones that skim across the surface. But I think I'm right in saying the fastest route, and the one that everybody will be adopting this year and for many years now, is a craft that, when stationary, is largely a boat. As it reaches a certain speed, it lifts off the surface of the water.
Like an aerofoil almost.
Yes. I don't know how familiar you are with aerodynamics, but it turns out that there is a layer of boundary air just above the surface of an ocean, which you can trap beneath some wings. And that gives you enough lift that you don't have to carry a full flying wing, but you can keep the entire body of the craft well above the water and traveling at extremely high speed. Of course, that means you'd be in violation of the rules. So the craft have a keel which sticks down below them and stays within the water's surface. It's more useful than it sounds. It can actually help you with steering.
I don't know much about this whole thing, but I feel like any length of conversation with you, I'd almost be ready to enter my own team. She sort of laughs a bit. Is it just the? I assume it's just the professional teams that get to race these things, and it's not a free for all for any crazed local with a pedalo and a gondola to zoom around.
Technically, any team can enter. Of course, this year it would be impossible for you. The qualifications were months ago, and only those teams that made the grade got in. Though, as I understand it, all 8 in the final were, in fact, the only 8 contenders this year.
Feels like it's something that's very expensive, dangerous, needs a lot of expertise, and would be hard for an outsider to break into, I guess. It feels like a lot of money is thrown at these things.
It is a great deal of money. They are very expensive craft. They are anything you want to do, not just well, but competitively well, to beat the others, becomes expensive because tiny, minute variations in design and decision can have such a big impact. It's fun though, and I'll go further than that. Because the crews are of 6, and only really the lead pilot is the absolutely critical person, you may not be able to enter a team, but almost anybody could go on board one of the boats.
Interesting. Well, that does sound exciting. That sounds like something for the very rich, though. A special ticket, a special deal, a handshake, a promise, a nudge and a wink.
It is widely rumoured that some of the teams do sell their spaces. Obviously, VCI never would.
Well, of course.
We're a team of honor.
The experts. That's very interesting, though. Good for the people that could do that. I'm assuming they're sort of wandering slowly as they talk over to the table.
Yeah, well, as you walk round the corner, which is a fair distance along that northern exposure of the bar, you catch sight of the waterfall, which is still frozen up here. Remember, it curves out from up above you where you can't see it, and falls in quite a graceful curve past the table where Team VCI are seated. And there are seats there because most people are too nervous to walk up to a team and sit down at their table with them. So though people are constantly coming by and asking for a photo or something, they're not sitting down with them. So there are seats available at this table. And Fess wanders over, and as he does so, quite sort of elegantly sort of waves his hand to indicate to Kara a seat which she can take.
Thank you very much. Wow, these really are the best seats in the house. I've been to Cascade 4 times now, and this whole waterfall it never ceases to bring me a certain amount of pleasure. I don't know how many times you've been here, but I'm sure you feel the same. I hope you do at least, and it hasn't lost its beauty for you.
I seem to recall the first time I saw it, I was impressed with the pageantry. But subsequently, I've become more interested in the technology.
That is true. To freeze something so suddenly like that. But it's almost like we were saying before, I guess, and especially what you were saying, it's almost more impressive to know that it is a feat of ingenuity rather than just a natural miracle.
It is extremely clever.
So, were you surprised this evening, Anton, when you saw my friend Stefan?
Surprised? Can't recall the last time I was surprised by something.
You didn't feel his presence, did you? You're not that close to him, are you?
No, nothing like that.
Did you know that we'd ended back on the planet? I know you've got many important things, but we seem to keep bumping into each other, so it feels like our paths are entwined in some way.
Sadly, it does.
Sadly, it does. Sorry, did Soxy's comment, which anyone listening on the pod will wonder why I'm just laughing right now. Sorry. She's suggesting hijinks. Doesn't feel like the time for hijinks. Well, did you know we were on the Seamstress on the way back? Have you ever travelled on the Seamstress?
I have not.
I'm sure you knew that we took it on the way out, and with the friend of the Commodore, of course, and we came back again. A wonderful thing. Again, I recommend it to you. I don't know if it's to your taste, but you might like it. As a man that likes to know how things work, it uses a very interesting process of heating and cooling using the jacuzzis, and there's ski slopes and a very good use of zero G. I think you'd be fascinated by that, and you can go down into the bowels if you know the best cameras to avoid and the best doors to push on, and you can have a look around and see how it works. You might find it quite interesting.
I will add it to the list of experiences I must take.
I'm sure that list is incredibly long.
There are a few things yet to see.
Yes. Oh, So anyway, are you pleased to see us, Anton? Does it bring you joy?
I must confess, not especially.
Oh, it doesn't bring your heart. It doesn't make your heart heavy, does it?
It is, I think, a bit of sadness.
Why does it bring you sadness?
Because there are things about you I like and admire.
Mm. Well, I like to think that these things that you like, admire, will be things that you can continue liking and admiring for a very long time.
Of course, it's possible, but I'm not completely sanguine about it.
Cara's looking around for Stefan at this point. Those drinks must be on their way, surely.
Sure, indeed. So Stefan has managed to turn up with a few drinks, and roughly as he does so, the other group of the party have arrived at the top of the waterfall. Now they can't see what's going on down below because the frozen water literally curves away from below them. But if you, without the falling water, without the noise it makes, it's very quiet and very still up here. And they don't encourage people to come up here by putting up tables or anything. This is mostly behind the scenes engineering stuff. So from where you are, you can actually hear certainly any raised voice conversation from below.
Ben, before Stefan actually arrives, could we flash back to hopefully what will be a brief minute earlier?
Mhm.
If that's all right.
Of course.
Stefan will go to the bar and he'll order 4 beers and pay however much you tell me it'll be for four beers.
Oh, it's expensive.
For 4
Stefan.
beers, it'll be out here about 40.
Oh,
Ooh.
should have brought them inside, Stefan.
Okay.
She's showing off again.
Cool. And then he will
Flaunting your wad. It's not becoming.
I mean, you can buy your own beer if you want. And then instead of heading over to the table, can he? Am I right in remembering that the mag team was up?
The Maglo team, they're up effectively 1 tier from the bar.
Yeah.
And then heading west towards the point where you'd turn towards the other team table. They're not all that close to it.
Right. Okay. So it's in the right direction. He'll as he gets to them, I don't know if there's a pinch point or not, but he'll if not, he'll walk. He'll sort of stagger a little bit and walk dangerously close to their table.
Okay.
With 2 beers in each hand. And as he approaches, he'll try and pick out the most senior member of the team, if he can do so at a glance.
Okay. Yes, that's actually not too difficult. The most senior chap is holding court at the head of the table, and you've probably seen his picture if you glance through that tablet.
Yes, which him and Soraya were doing, weren't they, at the themed bar. As he passes the table, he'll feign slipping over on something and crashing into them, spilling one, hopefully keeping one hand's worth of beer at least safe.
Okay. Can you do since you're feigning it? Can you do
I have to choose my words more
a
carefully.
deception with Dex for me, please?
Yes, he can.
Oh, good Dex.
Yeah, that's not bad. That's a 9, 0 deception, and 2 dexterity, so an 11.
Okay. You do manage to complete your maneuver exactly as you wanted. You spill a couple of beers over this person and still retain the other 2 beers clasped in your other hand. And the guy immediately leaps to his feet. What are you doing?
Oh, wow.
As Stefan goes into him, can he also try and Stefan sneaky masterclass and take something out of a close pocket? He'll aim for he wants to get something data related, I guess, something electronic. In the I mean, it's going to come up eventually anyway. In the order of full disclosure, he's aiming for some team information that he can pass on to Fess, I suppose.
Stealth plus dex, please.
As an offering.
Yes.
Well, given that you were so successful in the last one, you can actually have a boon on this as well.
Oh, thank you, Ben. Very kind.
Strong.
If I don't throw one on the floor, that is pretty good. I'll drop the 2 and I'll take the 12 plus 3 for 15.
Okay. You do find something. You manage to just snaffle a little electronic data chip into your hand, but the guy is looking, enraged.
And
what on earth are you doing?
Stefan will pull himself back up and say, "Oh God, I'm so sorry. I'm so embarrassed." And he looks over to the 2 that he was speaking to earlier and say, "You were so kind to me as well. I'm so sorry. Please let me let me get around for your table."
Okay. Can you roll a persuade for me, please, with intellect?
I was going to say this is where it falls. His persuade's not as bad as it could be, to be fair. That's a 7 plus 1 is an 8.
Okay. They look grumpy, but they nod gruffly, and the chap takes off his team jacket and throws it over the back of his chair to let it drip dry while he sits back down again. And he settles back down, sort of stabilizes himself a bit, and nods. All right, thank you.
No, please. And he's looking around to see, if anyone's noticed the scene. I'm so embarrassed. I'm sorry. I'll have our man arrange around. What are you drinking?
The barman will know our round.
Of course, and he'll head off in the direction of the Von Cotswold ink table.
Okay, can you roll a streetwise check for me, please?
Yeah. Any overall arching stat with that?
In this case, it's probably got to be intellect.
Oh, good man.
It's another 12 plus 2. I feel really bad.
Okay.
I'm feeling really happy right now.
You said you were sort of glancing around to see if anyone had noticed. Yes, several people noticed. 1 or 2 people from the VCI team or in their jackets were sort of walking around back and forth with drinks, stopped and had a bit of a hearty chuckle at it.
Okay, cool. And yeah, he'll just continue to make his way back to where I rather rudely suggested that I'd like to take a flashback, I suppose, and Stefan approaches with some drinks.
Okay. Now, I note you haven't, in fact, provided a round of drinks. I'm just pointing that out.
Yes, yeah.
I'm sure you know that.
Well, Stefan does, yeah. And as such, I am familiar by proxy,
okay.
I suppose.
That's fine.
Not yet, at least.
Yes.
It's all right. And he'll pass over one of the bottles of beer.
You mean Cara?
The car.
I hope.
Cara, sorry.
Yeah, no,
It's a force of habit.
Yeah.
Yes.
I was
Thank
doing
you.
so well.
Thank you. She tries to take. She takes a longer gulp than she would normally do. Come, sit next to me, Stefan. We're just having a lovely chat with Anton. He's saying how much he likes us.
Well, I have a I have a gift, a peace offering for the lieutenant, and he'll I don't know whether it's of any use, but I happen to run into this, and he'll pass him over whatever it is that he lifted from the mag team.
He takes it, and at a sort of mention of the word lieutenant, he looks up. I see Zoe has been telling stories. Thank you. Where did you get this?
No. I apologise. I merely didn't want to feel I didn't want to come across out of sorts. I noticed that you referred to Zoe as Major quite frequently, and I purely asked her what your rank was so that I could follow suit in the social aspect of it, I guess. Please,
When
if
I
you'd
knew
rather.
the Major professionally, I was indeed a lieutenant. She was, for a while, my commanding officer.
She failed to mention that.
I wonder how that could have slipped her mind. Thank you for this. I will not examine it just yet. You got it how exactly?
Much the way I've gained most things of the sort, I suppose. I assume that plausible deniability is something that you hold quite dear to you in your profession. I happened upon it and noticed its potential relevance to yourself and your fine colleagues here.
So this is purloined.
I'm sorry, it's what?
It's like fried or broiled. I think.
Removed discreetly from the possession of its former owner.
By definition, most of my possessions are removed discreetly from their former owner. Sometimes I pay, but it's still done discreetly.
Of course. And this is from Team Maglo, is it?
He'll just nod. Lovely.
Well, I very much appreciate the thought and no doubt the effort that went into it. And you can actually hear a couple of other people at the table talking about the way you fell over and splashed beer all over the team boss of Team Maglo, and they are laughing their socks off because of it. And he's sort of taking that in and sort of putting two and two together at this point. He says, but I feel in the spirit of sportsmanship, I should probably return it to them. And he stands and says, perhaps another time.
Stefan will say, if you're going past the bar, would you could you be a good man and I promise them a round as well. Here, have and he'll throw him. I'm estimating here how many there were at the table. 150 credits. Buy them around as way of apology, I suppose.
He looks at the money and seems to think about it for a second, and then he puts it back on the table and he says, "There are rules, you see. I can't buy something for another team. It would be unseemly. But again, I thank you for your thought. And unless Kara wants to interrupt, he's going to walk off around the corner."
Has he got anything of his? I'm guessing he wouldn't, being a skilled man, but he doesn't have any of his belongings nearby.
As far as you know, everything he's got with him is on him.
Okay.
Stefan looks to Kara and says, things could get really awkward if he decides to, well, you know, bring me up.
Might
So
be time.
apologies if I
might be time for you to vanish.
exit.
Yeah, don't worry about it. Don't worry about it.
And he'll sort of turn his chair, if possible, to sort of half face Kara and half face the mag table, just to get a vibe of any conversation.
You won't be able to see the Team Maglo table. That'll be round the corner and a reasonable distance off, but you will be able to see the departing Fess from where you are.
Okay, well, you keep an eye on that general direction in case.
All right. Can you roll a streetwise check for me, please, with intellect?
It's an 8 plus 2 and 0, so it's a 10.
All right. Before he goes around the corner, Fess stops for maybe half a minute to do something on his communicator, on his general communications, personal computing, mobile device.
Definitely is.
Before popping it back into his pocket. And then he heads off around the corner.
Okay. Definitely, as far as Stefan is concerned, his communicator, and not the device that he is carrying back to the table.
No, definitely. Well, it's not the one you gave him. That one was much smaller. This is a communicator. There's no real way you can be certain it's his. No, it could be anybody.
Yeah, sure. As far as Stefan is concerned, given the situation. Yeah. Okay. Cool.
Okay.
He'll mention it's Kara just in passing.
All right. Agnar and Soraya, I need you both to roll streetwise checks, please, with intellect.
You see what happens, Sucks, when you redeem a Stefan Sneaky Masterclass is that everyone ends up running streetwise checks for the next like hour in real time.
6 plus 2 is 8.
Okay.
Streetwise and intellect is a massive 5 minus 3 is a 2.
Oh no.
All right. Soraya, you actually spot Fess walk around the corner below you and head off towards the sort of Maglo table. You won't have been able to see him use his device first because he'll have come around the corner and then you'll have seen him.
Thank you. Very, 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 very useful.
So he will continue his walk, and as he does so, you can see him approaching the Team Maglo table. And as he does, you see him sort of crouch down. Just as he's approaching the table, he kind of crouches down, almost as if he's going to tie his shoelace. one of the sort of rocky outcrops that separate the various terrace parts. He crouches down next to it and then stands up again. And in his hand is a little electronic device. From where you are sitting, or where you are looking, you can easily see, he doesn't do it very well, that he was palming it and didn't pick it up from the ground. But where his hand was would have been completely obscured to everyone at the Maglo table, even if they were looking.
So he's got it in his hand as it stands.
Yeah.
Can Sarai spring to her feet and run down the side, please?
Yes, absolutely.
My apologies, Ewan. This is. She's gonna shout. That guy just nicked your chip. He's got something in his hand. He's got something in his hand. Check it. He's got something in his hand. Honest, I was up. I saw it.
Can you roll a persuade, please, with intellect?
Yes.
Oh, I love it, Luke.
Try to start to be nice to him. It gives me the heebie-jeebies. That's an 8 plus 1 plus 1 is a 10.
A 10. Okay.
Ben, is this audible to Stefan? I don't know the exact distance.
It's quite far away, but if Soraya's making that much fuss, it might be.
Okay. Just me bearing it in mind.
All right. Okay. Everyone sort of looks up to see what Soraya's yelling about, and Fess sort of glances across at her with a look of some degree of hatred. Before literally sort of standing there with his hands up, holding the device very visibly. And everyone turns around and is now staring back and forth between Soraya and Fess. And he says, I literally just found it here. I was assuming it was yours. And he's sort of holding it out. Okay, the Maglo team people look a little bit suspicious of him. I don't think they've quite decided where to fall down on this yet, but they don't look all that convinced by his "I just found it here on the ground" theory.
The guy's jacket is still off, isn't it? Is that what you got it out of? Stefan?
It's thrown over the back of his chair, yeah.
Yeah, interesting. He palmed it. I saw him. Check him. Look.
A couple of them get up and walk over and take the device quite sort of swiftly from his hand. Stare at it. This is ours. Where did you get it? And he says, it was just down here on the ground. They look unhappy. You have made them feel very much like this guy is not their friend, even if it wasn't for the fact that he's obviously wearing an opposing team's jacket.
Sarah keeps on walking past and into the cascade. Her heart's beating. she rushes past, trying to grab Kara by the arm as she goes past.
So she's heading back inside.
Yes.
Okay. Can you roll a streetwise for me, please, with intellect?
And in intellect, did you say? Oh God, yeah. So plus 1 plus 2. That's a 7. Plus 2 is 9.
All right. Okay. As you go, it's pretty clear that Fess is walking in the same direction, almost as if he's following you. And Stefan, you said, can you hear? Are you doing anything, or are you just paying attention?
He would have been paying attention, and then given it some thought, he would have got up and gone to go to the bar to get headed in that direction to get another round for the table as he promised.
Okay.
It seems like a good way to him to diffuse any kind of shouting that he may have heard from that general direction.
All right. As you walk up, you can see from this perspective, in the distance, Soraya has her back to you and is walking away and is about to basically go down the slope towards where the bar is, but also the entrance into the cascade. About parallel now with the Maglo table, you can see Fess's back as well. He's walking in the same direction. And as he does so, you see a barman walking the other direction with a big tray of drinks, and Fess sort of steps to one side to let this guy pass. So he's still basically next to the Maglo table. The guy with the drinks, in fact, then turns and plonks them down in the middle of the Maglo table and starts handing them out. And as he's doing so, Fess casts a glance behind, at the departing Soraya, and then turns and walks back to the Maglo table, and leans over a couple of them, from behind, like putting his hands warmly on the shoulders of a couple of the guys. And he says, I'm terribly sorry about any misunderstanding. I promise you, I just found that device. And he gets what you might call some grumpy nods, but not much in the way of reciprocation of politeness. So eventually he stands back up again, and turns and walks off. But by the time he does that, of course, Soraya is long out of sight. If you're still following, as he goes back in towards the bar and the cascade.
Yeah, Stefan would have aimed to have tried to have stayed out of eye line whilst he turned back, but will definitely follow.
All right. As Fess makes his way off down and you set off behind, you get a fairly strong impression that Fess was paying no attention to behind him at all. Oh. It doesn't seem likely he knew you were there.
Mm-hmm.
But that might be tipped to him, because as you walk past the table, 3 or 4 of the Maglo people raise up their glasses and say, "Thanks for the beers." As you walk past.
Yeah. Stefan will pay it no mind. He'll sort of nod, but he won't look back. So he'll carry on walking and just, nod and maybe stick an okay or a thumbs up sort of behind him to the side, out of eye line from anyone, and continue, assuming he hasn't obviously been seen. Visually, he'll continue to follow.
Okay. And as you set off inside, you lose sight of him periodically because it's going through sort of uneven terrain, but you do indeed find that he is going back into the cascade. He walks in through the doors. And if you follow him closely, you'll see that he then sort of stands on the balcony bit above the lobby and looks down to see if he can spot Soraya. And if Soraya is heading down towards the ground floor, he will catch a glimpse of her doing so. Is that what she's doing?
Now, if I remember correctly, as I come through, it's the balcony. That's the balcony that Thingy was thrown or jumped off that time, correct?
No, that's the balcony overlooking the bar.
Okay.
So
Explain to me,
that's
as Soraya goes through the
that's
doorway,
music.
what would she have seen? Help me out. So
Immediately to her left is a long flight of stairs leading down to the lobby and the main entrance.
yeah,
Directly in front of her, there's a sort of short landing, at the other side of which is the entrance to that elevated stage.
yeah,
And that landing has a sort of railing on it,
yeah,
which overlooks the lobby.
yeah.
So Fess has literally walked past the top of the stairs and is leaning over the railing.
Into the raised stage area.
Mhm.
Yeah. Soraya will sort of hurry down the stairs, suddenly feeling the need to be incredibly sick through the booze, through anxiousness, through
Mhm.
fear, I guess. And she's desperately looking for a security bouncer, someone that she can, I guess, she's still professional enough in her brain that she's looking for someone to get on her side, if that makes sense.
Mhm.
Playing that sort of, she's nervous anyway, but really playing the damsel in distress card.
Okay. All
So
right.
she's looking around. She's looking around for anyone that could be. Is there security? Anyone sort of looking around as she goes?
If you're aiming for people like that, the place you could find it quickest would be by the front door.
Okay. And she's sort of quickly sort of glancing behind her. She's sort of making a scene. She's mumbling. She's sort of saying as she goes past. There's a man. Security. There's a man chasing security. There's a man making her way through, trying to like as she goes past, so people sort of hearing her. She's trying to put it in the crowd's mind as she goes.
All right. As soon as she starts shouting, a couple of the sort of bouncer type people at the front door perk up their ears and take some interest. A couple of them walk over. What's going on?
There's this man. I saw him. I'm sure I saw him stealing something upstairs, and I shouted out, and I think he's chasing me. I think he's following me. Please, please, please. I really don't feel safe right now.
Okay. Well, you're safe with us. Can you point him out?
She'll start describing what he's like, some of his features, and sort of tries to sort of back behind them a little bit, and sort of starts to where so the other side of them from where she came. So she's sort of describing him, and then starts to scan, starting high and working. And scanning. The plan is to scan the railing up the top first, and then look towards the stairs after.
Right. If that's where you're looking first, you will very quickly see Fess. He's prominently leaning over the railing, looking for you.
She'll try to squeeze behind the two security guards and say, "It's that man on the railing. Please, he's looking for me."
They both literally point at him and go, "That one there."
Yes, that man. Yes, that one there.
They run off towards the stairs to climb up.
Ben, I don't want to, but I have to. We've got previous in this situation, and I feel as Stefan enters and sees Fess looking over the balcony, he would like to approach as quietly as he can. I really don't want to, and gravity knife him in the back.
Ooh.
Okay. All right.
I mean, I would have said knuckle blasters, but that's very noisy, and it's very much not Stefan's style. because that is
Okay.
the previous situation, which feels very relatable to this. Somebody following Soraya.
Yeah, I agree. Okay. You draw out your knife as subtly as you can, and even at the same time as Soraya is pointing at Fess and getting the security guards to run up, that's, just a matter of seconds after all. You can stride across to Fess and attempt to stab him. All right. Let's start with some subtlety and awareness. Work out if he's going to spot you.
Sure.
So he's going to get a recon check. And can you do a deception check, please, with Dex?
Yeah. Could Streetwise, would that be applicable?
Streetwise is
Blending
more
into
for when you're trying to spot things.
Okay, that's cool.
You're trying to conceal your action this time.
Yeah. Perfect. That is a 10 plus 2 is a 12. 0
Okay.
for deception.
Well, you easily close up to him. He's focused heavily on Soraya and only Soraya. Maybe a little bit distracted by the sound of her yelling at the security guards and them starting to thunder in his direction. Can you roll an attack for me, please?
Yeah.
So this is a melee attack.
Melee blades.
Yes, and with melee, if I remember correctly, you can use strength or dex.
He would very much be going for something along the lines of bear skin on the spine, neck, something that he could stab and twist and run.
He's wearing bearskin. It must be very hot.
All right.
Oh, Luke, thanks for bringing some levity. To
Some
this.
levity to a really tense moment. Oh.
Okay, so you're trying to literally cut his throat, basically.
Yeah. I mean, less slicey, more
Stabby.
severing.
Okay,
the
well, it's
message
your
column.
choice of strength or dex, plus your melee blade, and 2d6, please.
Wonderful. That's a 9 plus 3.
Total of 12. Okay. All right. Can you remind me what damage a gravity knife does?
I'm going to be honest here, Ben. I don't actually have it. I've got gravity knife written down. This was something that he took off of somebody else, I believe.
That's right, he did. You're quite right. That
So it
is
didn't come from a
going
shopping
to be.
trip.
Who did it come off?
Sorry.
Oh, yeah, that's fine. I've got it. Yeah.
Who did it come off? I'm
Can
interested.
you roll 2d6 for me, please, and add 4.
Sorry, did you say 2d6?
2d6 plus 4, please.
These rolls, that's an 11 plus 4.
A total of 15.
Is a 15.
My goodness, Ewan.
Okay.
These are good dice. You keep them.
They've been warm in my pocket for like 20 minutes.
Oh.
Right. You step up to him. He's not paying any attention at all. You reach up your blade and drive it into the side of his neck. And you can immediately see it struck home with a fair amount of force. Whether it'll prove to be fatal or not, you can't possibly judge this early, but it's certainly a severe stab wound right into the throat. You pull the knife back out again as fast as you can, and his eyes snap open in absolute shock, and his knees sort of collapse and he slumps down onto the balcony. And as he does so, you can hear this yell from the 2 security guards who are running towards you. as the person they were running to intercept is stabbed in the throat right in front of them, and they charge up towards you. One of them drawing a weapon, and the other one yelling into his communicator. And that is where we'll call it for tonight.
Oh.
I'm sorry.
Oh.
It's very unlike us, but
Every now and again, I'm just glad
yeah.
I'm just glad Rose and Sammy went home.
When I feel when there's when we're in some kind of a seedy situation where things are a little bit unknown and somewhat dangerous, especially towards Soraya,
Yeah.
Stefan will.
It's his character. It's 100% his character.
It's very reminiscent of the dusty alleyway on Giikur.
It is. Yeah, I mean, there are a couple of differences. The first being that this one has like all of the people in it.
Yes, yeah, precisely.
He's potentially killed someone in front of about 100 people.
But that wasn't, Stefan had no idea that security had been called.
It's true.
At that point.
Yeah.
And
you're absolutely right.
in his mind, he could have slipped up and done something quite discreetly and walked away without security running towards. I feel as though I have to apologise because it's a very awkward roleplay moment, an awkward storyline moment for all of us to have to deal with going forward.
Huge.
But
I've enjoyed our time on Giikur.
There are very many times I'll say it's what my character would have done, but this is literally one of those times, and he has done it before.
Yeah, he has. It's very much in line, particularly when he thinks that someone he cares about is threatened.
It's 3 times he's looked to save
and
Soraya.
He can do it with great subtlety when he thinks this is a one-on-one and I can take him without being intercepted.
Yeah. So sorry
You're
to have
absolutely
to dump this on you, Ben, to deal with.
Quite all right.
Week.
we will see where it takes us.
But it was a really interesting and exciting session, I have to say.
I've got the sweats on. That went left field very quickly.
Yeah.
Blame Soraya. She started it.
I'm more worried now than when Stefan went running in after the bomb that was going to explode. I'm going to be honest.
Was a tense moment.
Yeah. All right. He's the one with armor on, at least. You might survive a round or 2.
Yeah. We'll see. He's not fighting. What are you talking about?
Do you know the roll initiative is going to be the first thing Ben says next Friday?
Yeah.
Oh, good old Colonica.
No, thanks.
She is very wealthy and she has been found again, sucks. So Colonica did free. Yeah, we'll get her in. Special guest just to.
I hope so.
We'll just get her to walk up and say, "Stop right there. I can vouch for this man.
Will you all please behave?
There will be no fighting in the Cascade.
There's no fighting in the war room.
Exactly.
Gentlemen, please.
Gentlemen.
Oh, brilliant.
Oh, thank you, Ben. Thank you, Ewan. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Socks, for being in chat. We appreciate it. Thank you to the person that just joined just at the end of our stream. We got very excited. Listen back. It was very cool, though. We went very left field. Every now and again, we're very peaceful, person that just joined in. We're very peaceful. And Ewan's just gone really violent out of nowhere. So that's something to look forward to next week.
Out of nowhere?
Well, no, he's fulfilling his duty. I love him very much, even though he was mean to me earlier.
Well, that adds to the fact that Stefan wants to, wants to make things right. Obviously,
absolutely.
What a legend! What an absolute legend.
Well, that certainly took a sharp turn to the left. Sort of on 2 wheels round the corner. So we will resume next time. But before we do any of that, we have something for tomorrow night, which with any luck, will also involve the lovely Socks, who is in our chat at the moment. We are going to be playing the Night Witches game, which we started on Saturday, and this is episode 2, and it is brilliant, and I think you are going to love it.
I'm so excited for tomorrow. It's
Yeah, I think it's going to be brilliant.
very good stuff.
I've worked out how the planes fly now, so it's all good. It's chocks away and full speed ahead to go on a bombing run. You'll enjoy it.
I've been sweating up on my pre-flight checks.
That is true. If you get selected to fly, of course.
Well, yeah. Just in case.
Exactly.
Just in case.
Right. Thank you, everyone. So, yeah, Night Witches tomorrow. Join us if you will. At 11 p.m. tomorrow night for some more role playing. That's 11 p.m. UK. But in the Americans, that's 6 p.m. Eastern, and you can work it out from there. Join us from 11 for some World War II female Soviet fighter pilots. It should be fun. Bomber pilots, even. So we'll see you then. Thank you for joining us. We really appreciate you. Take care, everyone, and we'll see you tomorrow. Good night.
Good night.
Good night.